I'm not unprofessional. You are. No, we're not unprofessional, bro.
Don't let me zoom in.
On what?
On your mouth.
Because I'm chewing gum?
Yes.
Ain't nothing unprofessional about chewing gum.
Yes, there is.
Nah.
That's literally unprofessional.
To chew gum?
Yeah.
Nah.
That's a cool camera. I don't think I've ever seen one of those.
Oh, you haven't?
No.
It's a film camera?
What?
Yeah. All right. 1, 2. Boo. I think I'm gonna change. Yeah, you can sit on the porch. On this lens, we have the 1/4 Pro Mist. I like to do the 1/4 Pro Mist on wider lenses because I don't know. I like the I like that strength for wider things. And then when I put on tighter lenses, I like to do like 1/2 or a full stop because a Pro Mist, because I'm usually using this lens is gonna be like more focused on someone's face. So one more. So, where I put my other lens at?
Where?
Oh, in the back. I wasted a shot. Did you hear that?
No.
Yeah, I wasted a shot. Some stupid shit. Let me get that other roll of film out of there.
Make sure you're not chomping on that gum, okay? Thank you.
Damn. God damn. Just trying to chew my gum in peace.
It's not peaceful for people watching it. You don't want to watch somebody chewing gum.
Sometimes I kind of like it.
Stop lying.
I don't mind. 1, 2. It's working good again. My last shizzle. It's good, but I gotta make sure it's good, you feel me?
That's a crispy snap. All right, so what is the goddamn deal, YouTube? It is, of course, your boy Vuhlandes back with another video. And in this video, we're talking about how to get that glowy highlight, the heavenly looking portrait look that I try to achieve in all of my photos. We're gonna talk about how I do achieve that. To be honest, it's not a very long or drawn out or hard thing to achieve. But before we go on into it, let me just show you guys what it is that I use to achieve this look. So if you know me and you know my work, you know that for the last, like, I don't even know how long, maybe 4 years, I have been using Pro Mist filters, maybe 5 years, honestly, if I think about it. I've been using Pro Mist filters on all of my photos. Black Pro Mist, and Moment just made a new Pro Mist filter. Well, it's kind of like a Cine Bloom filter because this Black Pro Mist has different, like, I'm not gonna get all into it, like what's the differences and like what makes a black Pro Mist and what makes a Pro Mist a regular Pro Mist, and the Cine Bloom filter, like what's the differences between all of those, because to me they all kind of do the same thing. It makes the highlight softer, makes skin softer, and just like kind of gives you this different heavenly, the glow type of look to your photos. But for technicalities and, you know, to be very technical and literal, they are different because if you could have seen on this like Pro Mist filter, there are like black speckles on it, and if you look at Moment's Cine Bloom filter, it's speckles on it, but they're not like black. So, you know, I literally have a Pro Mist on every single lens that I own. I literally have a strength Pro Mist for every single lens that I own. If I don't, then I have a step up ring, a step down ring specifically for the lenses that I own for these Pro Mist filters. But anyway, like I was saying, if you know me and my work, you know that I've been using Pro Mist filters, and I think that there's a lot more that goes into like just using a Pro Mist filter. Because when I use Pro Mist filters, for me, it's not just slapping the Pro Mist filter on and letting it do its thing, because in some cases Pro Mist filters low-key a cheat code, because like you put them on and then whatever you put in front of your camera is gonna look great because of the effect that it gives it. But for me, I like to, you know, determine the strength of Pro Mist for one that I'm using, determine the light that I'm using, natural light, which is usually the case, for two, and like where it's coming from and how to place my subjects within that natural light or within the light that I'm using to make the Pro Mist filter make sense. So for me, I did start using Pro Mist filters because back when I used to shoot digital a lot on Canon, the dynamic range on my Canon 5D Mark III was absolutely horrendous. So I did overexpose my photos a lot because I did shoot a lot of darker skinned people. So to expose properly for the people, or to expose for how I wanted my subjects to be exposed, I would overexpose my highlights and keep like the shadows and all that type of stuff. I would kind of slightly overexpose the shadows and stuff too, but mostly the highlights. So, but within overexposing my highlights on my 5D Mark III, the highlights were really blown out, like just completely white, no information there at all. I did kind of like that, but something that helped me offset that was adding a Pro Mist filter. So when I did overexpose my highlights, it's almost like they came down from the heavens as angels to wash away the sins of all the people who shoot with Nikon cameras. But in all seriousness, this did help me with overexposing my photos, because when people viewed these photos, it was almost kind of like it's a on purpose type of thing and not I don't know what I'm doing type of thing. Because when I was overexposing my highlights, a lot of people took it as I just don't know what I'm doing, so these highlights are overexposed. But when the highlights were nice and like glowy and soft, and the person in the photo skin was soft and all that stuff, it kind of gave the impression that, oh, this is on purpose. And that's another thing, like you got to determine which Pro Mist filter you want to use in what situation and what makes sense and what doesn't make sense, because sometimes it can be too much, and sometimes some of the things you're shooting, it's just too much, like the softness is too much. Also, I had somebody like ask me, like, because apparently with film being in right now and all these images being soft and everybody shooting, also other people shooting with black Pro Mist and Cine Blooms and stuff like that, he was asking, or he was basically, I don't even know if he was asking, but he was basically saying like, at some point, is it going to not be a trend for photos to be soft? Like, is sharp photos gonna come back into style and people aren't gonna like the soft look anymore? And first of all, I don't even think that it's a trend for photos to be soft. Maybe it is, but I don't really know. Photos can be soft and still sharp. Like I took a photo the other day and it's soft. It was soft. It gave you like that kind of soft feeling, but the photo was still incredibly sharp. Like I don't think there's gonna be a lack of sharpness just because a photo is soft. Like just because the overall photo feels soft, I don't think it I don't think it lacks sharpness. I don't think it should lack it being sharp or in focus or anything like that. Something that helps me while using the black Pro Mist filter and shooting someone using a black Pro Mist filter is that it's way easier to shoot your subject backlit. So if the main light source is coming in from the back of your subject while using the Pro Mist filter, it kind of softens that up and doesn't make it seem, especially if you're using a digital camera, which they're not the greatest at dynamic range, but on film cameras, usually, especially on film cameras, when I use a Pro Mist filter and the light's coming in from the back of my subject or the side or wherever it is, just not the front. Even if it's coming in from the front, it still looks good, but I usually try to place my subjects behind or to the side of that natural light, because then it creates this effect that the kind of heavenly, it like kind of outlines them with the light in a heavenly kind of glowy godlike way, which I like a lot. So that's usually what I do when like shooting with the Pro Mist filter, try to look for my natural light or the light source and place my subject accordingly to that, because there are some cases where it's used wrong. And I know it's kind of like, how can a Pro Mist filter be used wrong? But I just think like in some cases it could be too much, or in some cases not enough, or in some cases the lighting was not in the right place and it wasn't used at its full potential, or some things like that. Because some people think you just slap the Pro Mist on, oh, now, you know what I'm saying, I'm Pro Mist up, so it's all good. But I think a lot of things have to be thought about in detail a little bit more than what you would think, especially when using something that's like a filter, like for your camera. And first of all, this is my favorite camera accessory of all time. I've already made a video using the Pro Mist filter about how it's my favorite camera accessory of all time, but thought I'd mention it again. It's my favorite camera. It's probably the only camera accessory I've ever like had outside of just a camera and a lens. But if you watch movies like Hollywood movies or anything like that, they use Pro Mist filters for like almost everything. Sometimes it's not even noticeable, but when I use a Pro Mist filter all the time, so I'm like, they're using a Pro Mist filter. Like I feel powerful. I feel good when I'm watching something. I'm like, yeah, they was using a Pro Mist filter for this. Look at these niggas done got it misty in here. But at the same time, it's not for everybody. Sometimes people don't like Pro Mist. I personally use a Pro Mist in every single one of my photos ever. Some people only use it for very specific and certain things. You know, to each their own. That's gonna wrap it up for me. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you guys got something out of it. If you are not subscribed to the channel, please do me a favor and hit that subscribe button. If you are already subscribed, I am not talking to you because you already did what you had to do. Now let's get up out of here and let's go do some shit. Go ahead, grab your Pro Mist filter. Actually, also Pro Mist filters are kind of expensive. Like $100 for a filter. That's kind of crazy. And I got a lot of them. But anyway, let's go do some shit.